And welcome back, Josh Schachter, SVP and GM at Atlas. Super
Thank
excited
you so
to
much.
have you back again.
I'm excited it was a quick turnaround. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, let's see it in action. What are we up to?
Yeah,
Ag-
yeah. So
Agentics, yeah,
I thought it might be actually most helpful for me to share some slides that I think it'll be the kind of the most visual example that we can share of Atlas of what we're doing for Agentic. Um, and I'll talk through how we see the world of CS and Agentic coming together, if that's okay with you.
awesome.
Great. So hi everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Josh Achter, the Senior Vice President of Atlas at Gainsight. And Atlas is our Agentic Future chapter of the company that we're really excited to be kicking off right now. I want to talk about a couple things, state of AI and kind of how that interplays with CS. And then for folks that are really thinking about Agentic in their world and how to prepare for that. I want to talk a little bit at first, why agentic is really important for the CS community, for the SaaS community at, at large. We see that the world of building software has changed. On the left side here, you have vibe coding. Everybody can create an application in a weekend in a hackathon overnight sort of thing, which is amazing, right? It's all been democratized. And on the right side, professional coders, engineers, developers are given these superpowers as well through Cursor and the other types of tooling. The net that those are all great things, but the net is that SaaS as a software industry, our moat is starting to, I don't know if it's collapsing, but it's decaying. It's becoming less fierce. We're being attacked on the right side here by lots of competitors. I'm sure there's many folks in the audience that are part of these competitors, these up and coming, agentic of X types of companies that are out there. And then on the left side, the decision of build versus buy, the build piece is more compelling for a lot of companies that have been our customers for a while now. Klarna ditched Salesforce, built their own. And again, those coding tools like the cursors of the world can really help to amplify those efforts as well. And I mentioned this in the last fireside chat that we had, but I've latched on to this quote from Sam Altman about a month ago that we're now entering the fast fashion era of SaaS. Fast fashion meaning I can, buy that shirt that I really liked and then unfortunately throw it out a month later and buy something else. That now, there's more accessibility to different types of applications. And so it's easy come, easy go, which is why retention is now not just a high priority, it's truly existential for SaaS companies. And we have to treat every customer like they're our best customer. And so I mentioned this also in the last conversation, but in the past, we would we would bear hug our most important customers, give them the white glove service, and just assume that the rest of the mid-tier and long-tail customers, they'd kind of figure it out on their own. They would go through their auto renewals. They wouldn't be much at risk. But that was really a trap because now what we're being asked to do is protect the mid-tier, protect the long tail, because again, no customer is too small to lose. And at the same time, we're being asked to do this with, if not decreasing budgets, then the same amount of budget, right? So it's do more with less or do more with the same. And so that's really how we see AI and agentic coming in to really save the day for that, to help us to serve that entire area under the curve. And so what this means is shifting our mindset. Now, for us as a company at Gainsight, it's actually shifting our positioning as from being a SaaS company, software as a service, to being a RaaS company, retention as a service. We want to get closer to the outcomes. It's beholden on all SaaS companies now to get much closer to the outcomes. As a CS org, it's the same type of mentality shift. It means going from these playbooks where it's humans executing retention as just these standard workflows to now humans and agents working together to deliver outcomes, to deliver rent retention outcomes. And when we do that well, it means going from focusing on the few, like that last chart, focusing on the 20% to now reaching every customer, focusing on augmenting human work to really now fully automating it in the long tail. And then where CSMs traditionally may have been consumed by all the tactical, busy grunt work, whatever you want to call it, freeing them up now to be more strategic. And so on the right side, this is really the self-actualization that we've all been reaching for in the customer success space in our roles. So this RAS is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Gainsight, quite frankly, to redefine ourselves in many ways. It's an opportunity for CS orgs to redefine how they're doing their work by bringing together this human-led touch for the most important customers, digital-led for the customers that still, need to be interacted with, but at larger scale, and some automation, and then agentic-led for the long tail. Now, agentic-led, of course, can also feed into the other layers, and just like digital-led can feed into human-led as well. But at that agentic, that long tail, that's where agentic is super important because previously we didn't have any exposure to that area under the curve. We were not protecting that customer base at all. So that's what we're doing at Gainsight. We have our Gainsight Customer OS. That's our ecosystem, our platform, a constellation of different products where we're mapping across the customer journey that they go on, helping customers learn, helping them adopt your products, helping them connect with your community, and ultimately helping them succeed in a more traditional customer success platform type of product. And so we're building out Atlas around that experience, around that life cycle, so that it is able to really, like, our discrete agents are able to work together to help you no matter where you are, where your customer is in their journey to deliver those retention outcomes. And so, a couple of, this is not showing our product, but I actually thought this would be more useful in some ways for folks. We're launching Atlas now with our existing customers. We've actually got a really full pipeline and top and mid and bottom funnel of demand. So I thought actually what could be more, of course, we want to elicit as much interest in that product, but we've got our hands full, quite frankly, with the demand piece. And I wanted to really show folks, some of the insights that we have about how you can prepare for agentic at your organization. So I'm going to skip over this for the sake of time. I'm going to skip over that one too and go straight here. That there's three things that we like to profess to get yourself the best position to apply agentic successfully at your company. The first is having the right data to act on. Second is having clear documented processes. And the third is being really specific about what your outcomes are, what your objectives are, because the beauty of agentic is that it gets us so much closer to driving those outcomes, going end to end, not just selling seats with fuzzy math of what value they're delivering. But that means that we really need to get closer to those outcomes at the get-go. On the data side, this is how we previously saw the world of customer success and how we understood the health of a customer. It was, are they using the product? What are the surveys telling us? What's finger waves in the air? What's my human judgment about the health of the customers? And there's so much beneath that iceberg. And so the net here is to really, when you're thinking about putting in an agentic program, try to be more forward thinking into what are the different types of data that I'm going to need to plug into that pipeline to get the agent to do its job the best. And, start setting these things up now, the clean data hygiene, making sure you're tracking everything before it's time to go into, and try out your agentic experiments. When you have that data, you can do really good things. We do this in our staircase product. But no matter how you want to approach it, you're able to find golden nuggets and emails from customers, churn risk indicators, in customer support tickets of all places. You can find upsell opportunities, and of course, we all know the common use case around, phone calls and note taking, but also being able to spot the different types of churn risk signals and those sorts of insights from calls. The second area that we try to educate folks on as they prepare for agentic is making sure that you have your processes documented, because the agents that you're going to be using are only going to be as successful as the blueprints that they can mimic from your human folks, from your human CSMs. So it's about being very intentional with what's the goal I'm trying to drive, which part of the customer life cycle am I trying to augment or automate, and let me make sure that I, first of all, have the processes in place today, and then can map those processes out so that the agent can, again, mimic those processes when it does its job. And then the third piece I already mentioned a little bit was knowing what your objectives and outcomes are from the very beginning. In the past, we've all seen ROI calculators for buying software and things in the past, but it's so much more important now, because the benefit of agentic is that, again, you can get closer to driving those specific outcomes, improving the ROI of your programs and your initiatives. But of course, that's a double-edged sword, because if you don't take the time to think about those things up front and you're not measuring those things and you're not managing that, then it's going to show much more clearly that you're failing in your goals, that the agentic program or the software that you're purchasing is not up to snuff. So really be intentional about what is the North Star of your agentic program. Break it down, build out that business case, use that ROI calculator, and then don't just set it and forget it, but continue to measure it throughout your program with agentic. It will help you demonstrate your ROI and really prove you out to be a rock star to your leadership, if you do this right. So I host a podcast. I already plugged it last time, but it's called Unchurned. It's a customer success podcast that is bringing together the theme of agentic and how folks are transforming their CS orgs through AI. And we profile several folks here. I'll go through these quickly. I know we're almost up at time, but these are three women that have transformed their roles and their organizations, but I'm actually more interested in their roles that they've transformed through AI. And the first one I'm proud to say is a Gainster. So Kalpana Krishna Kumar is an enterprise CSM at Gainsight. Her challenge is that she went from having 25 accounts in her book of business to 35 accounts overnight. It was kind of loaded upon her, 40% increase. And so how is she going to scale the same level of quality, while being able to sleep at night, have that peace of mind, and not just being completely inundated? So through the workflow that she developed on the right, she was able to reduce her time in preparing for EBRs and business reviews with customers by 60 to 75%. And it involves taking all the data we talked about from Staircase, our product, from our Copilot, from Notebook LM, which gives her mind maps, throwing it into ChatGPT. That gives her an outline of different slides. She then puts it into Gamma, and then it's been able to help her scale her relationships. Sophia Barbosa on the other end, she's the CCO of a giant company, BMC. And one of her first acts as CCO about a year ago was to implement a program to build an agentic platform themselves called Succedo. And you can see here the different agentic applications that have been deployed and are currently in development that have really driven value for her. Specifically, her first use case was building out a customer success story agent to showcase all the value stories from her company. And it immediately overnight was able to 3x the production of value stories that her team was able to gather. And then at a smaller company, I think it's a Series A, Series B company, a good friend of mine, Liron Yahalomi, she only had two people on her team, including herself, for a company that's growing off the rails. And so she needed to develop these different GPTs and applications in order to really be able to keep up with the pace of her growth. So, some concrete examples, want to leave you with that. No matter where you start in the agentic world, whether you're working with a company like Gainsight to help you get it off the ground, perhaps at a little more scale, or it's more of a shadow AI initiative coming from the grounds up, hopefully some of those tips and tricks are helpful.
Phenomenal demo. Thank you so much, Josh. Let's just
Thank
address
you.
a couple of questions and we're gonna transition to our next fireside chat. People are asking, how does Atlas work with the sales and CRM software they already use?
Yeah. So we take in the data from, so let's say it's Salesforce, right? We're able to ingest that data, and that's a lot of the context that Atlas is using to know about your customer. Let's say in the case of our renewal agent, to know the details of your customer before it initiates the sequence of reaching out to the customer, and in what way and what approach it's going to take, and all those sorts of things. Of course, it's part of our CS, Gainsight CS platform as well. So we're keeping it deeply embedded there. But yeah, it takes all the information from those different data sources.
And let's do one more. Can you speak about how your AI is able to spot hidden risks or opportunities across different customer interactions?
We're over time, so I will leave you on this. Staircase AI, that is our platform for doing that. Staircase AI, it's
Awesome.
amazing. It takes all of your different data sources from email, from your gong calls, your recordings, from your product telemetry, and that's exactly what it does. Is it spots those uncover risks, and those expansion opportunities, which is potentially equally as important.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.